All right, let's talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds. How in the world are you supposed to build a career in a field that's moving at, well, the speed of light? We're diving into that today. How to navigate the super exciting, and yes, sometimes totally overwhelming, world of AI. So, where do we even begin?
Well, to really get a handle on the sheer scale of this whole thing, you've got to hear this thought from one of the pioneers in the field, Andrew Ng. He said, AI is the new electricity. Just let that sink in. He's not talking about some niche tech trend. We're talking about a fundamental shift in, well, pretty much everything.
And who better to be our guide on this journey than Andrew Ng himself? The insights we're going to walk through, they come straight from a simple, powerful guide he created. So we're essentially getting a masterclass from the master himself.
Okay, so the first huge idea we need to wrap our heads around is this. AI isn't just another skill you list on a resume. Think bigger. It's becoming a new kind of literacy, as fundamental to our future as reading and writing were to our past.
And this isn't some abstract ivory tower concept. Let's bring it right down to earth. Forget about crazy complex algorithms for a second and just picture your local pizza shop. The owner doesn't need to build a self-driving car, right? But with a little AI literacy, they could look at their data and figure out, say, exactly how many ingredients to order for a rainy Friday night. That's the power here. It gives everyone the tools to make smarter choices.
So you might be thinking, okay, I get it, it's big, but how do I actually get there? Well, it can seem super complicated, but Andrew Ng boils it all down to a really simple three-step framework. This is our roadmap for the rest of this explainer.
And here they are. It's beautifully logical. First, you learn. Then, you build projects. And that's what leads you to the job. It just makes sense, right? You build the knowledge, you apply the knowledge, and that real-world application is what gets you hired. Each step is a foundation for the next. So let's break it down. We're going to dive into Step 1, learning the foundational skills. This is all about building the engine before you even think about trying to drive the car. And the key here is to focus on what truly matters. We're talking about getting a solid grip on the fundamentals of machine learning, then diving into deep learning, getting comfortable with software development, especially with Python and tools like TensorFlow or PyTorch. And yeah, you'll want to brush up on some of the key math concepts that make it all work. But looking at that list, it can feel huge. I get it. That's where this brilliant little mind hack comes in. It's called the tiny habits method. The idea is so simple. Don't try to force yourself to study for 3 hours every day right from the start. Instead, just commit to 10 seconds. I'm serious, just 10 seconds. The point isn't to master deep learning in 10 seconds. The point is to build the habit of showing up every single day. That little win makes the habit stick, and you'll find that 10 seconds naturally grows into more. Okay, so once you've got that learning engine humming along, it's time for Step 2, building impactful projects. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's how you prove, not just to employers, but to yourself, that you can actually do this stuff.
And this is a journey, not a destination. You start small, maybe with projects from a class you're taking. Then you move on to your own personal projects, applying AI to a hobby or something you're passionate about. The goal is to just keep building, gradually tackling things with more complexity and creating real value. Success just builds on success.
Now this brings up a really cool strategic idea. When do you plan everything out meticulously, and when do you just jump in? The classic ready, aim, fire approach is perfect for huge, high-stakes decisions. But for a lot of AI projects, where you can test and iterate really quickly, the ready, fire, aim approach is actually way better. Just build something fast, see what works and what doesn't, learn from it, and do it again.
All right, so all this learning and all these projects, they're all leading us to the final step in our framework, finding your AI job. And this isn't just about blasting your resume into the void, it's about being smart and strategic.
And here is probably one of the most practical, actionable pieces of advice you'll hear. The idea is simple. When you're trying to break into AI, try to switch either your role or your industry. But please, don't try to switch both at the same time. So if you're a software engineer in retail, maybe your first step is becoming a machine learning engineer, still in retail. That's a much easier jump to make, one step at a time.
And hey, here's a little pro tip for anyone trying to make that role switch. You might want to look at startups. Why? Because in big, established companies, job descriptions can be super rigid. But in a startup, there's always more work than people to do it. If you start pitching in on AI tasks, even if it's not in your official job title, people are going to notice. And that's how you create your own opportunity. Okay, we've covered the what and the how. But there's another piece to this whole puzzle that's just as important.
And that's the mindset you bring with you on this journey, overcoming those challenges that happen inside your own head.
So let me ask you a question, straight up. Have you ever asked yourself this? Do I really belong in a field like AI? Am I smart enough for this? Yeah, that feeling is incredibly common.
In fact, it's estimated that 70% of people feel this imposter syndrome at some point. So if you've ever felt like you're just faking it and you're about to be found out, congratulations, you're in the vast majority. It's a totally normal part of pushing yourself to learn and grow.
And on that note, I just want you to hear this message directly from Andrew Ng. If you want to be part of the AI community, then I welcome you with open arms. It really is that simple. Your desire to be here, your curiosity, that's your invitation. You belong.
You know, this gets at a deep truth about learning anything new. To get good at something, you first have to be willing to be bad at it. Nobody picks this stuff up overnight. Every single expert you admire was once a beginner who was probably struggling with the exact same things you are. It's not a sign you're failing, it's the sign you're starting.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, really powerful perspective. It's something to guide not just your career choices, but how you think about your time, period.
Andrew Ng put his own stats into one of those mortality calculators, and this is the number that came back. 27,649. That's roughly the number of days in an average human life. When you see it written out like that, it seems shockingly small, doesn't it?
And that leads to the final and maybe the most important question. It's a real gut check. Looking at what you're doing today with your time and your energy, is it worth 1/30,000th of your entire life? It's a powerful way to make sure that every one of those days really truly counts.
If today's explainer got you fired up to make your days count by diving into AI, you can start that journey and learn so much more from the fantastic resources over at deeplearning.ai. Thanks so much for listening.